It's the Morning Brew with Elle Dawson and Gillian Robertson. Brought to you by Fight Bananas.
Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. We are after our second number card of the year. Yours truly, Elle Dawson, and Gillian the Savage Robertson. How you doing, G?
I'm doing all right. I don't know. I'm not super thrilled about last night's card.
We'll start with that. We'll just start right off the bat. Letter grade for UFC 325.
Maybe like a C plus. I didn't think it was the most entertaining night, or the most. There wasn't. I guess a lot of the fights weren't the highest level of talent.
I agree. I definitely think there were some fun fights.
Yeah, there definitely were some in there.
But yeah, and I think I understand why, because Road to UFC is a regional thing. So anytime they go to that region, they need to fit those tournament fights in. I think it made a lot more sense to do it on a card like the Shanghai card last year when they did it, because it was a smaller card and it wasn't like a number card, what would have been a pay-per-view in the past. And so I think to have half the prelims be Road to UFC fights, which often are not quite UFC level fights, for that to be half the prelims on a card that I would consider to be a big card, big main event, big co-main event. I do think that maybe the first part of the fight night was a little meh for me on that.
Oh, that was, I feel like, one of the worst decisions for the UFC. I feel like it's your second time on Paramount. For the beginning of the card, we're going to start it off like this. It was just, I have a long day Saturdays. I go, I spar, I do everything. And then by the time I hit those fights, I could not stay awake. I was honestly these are just not keeping me entertained, engaged. Once Con Offley and
that was a great fight.
Yuza came in. Yeah, that one, I literally felt myself wake up. That was the first one that felt like it was a UFC level fight. But it literally just instantly captured my attention. Where the first three, I was I just can't pay attention to these. These are just, it's just not that, it's not UFC level.
Yeah. No, I agree. I did think the lightweight fight was all right for a Road to UFC. To me, it's the scoring was a little interesting between those two fights. I don't know if you were able to pay too much attention to that last Road to UFC fight, but I'm curious if you were. So Con Offley, I did not have him winning that fight. I definitely thought Yi won rounds 2 and 3. Have not rewatched it. Con looked obviously great in the first. I thought he was going to be well on his way to another first round finish, the Ricardo Ramos fight. But I definitely gave Yi 2 and 3. And I feel like the judges gave him the third round because of the takedown. Meanwhile, Kim in the fight right before that was super dominant in the grappling in the first round, but maybe didn't do a ton of damage. But then Dom Marfan did this much damage towards the end of that round. And there were judges that gave Dom Marfan the first round in the fight right before that. So I thought that was an interesting inconsistency with the judging. If that makes sense.
So almost like the Australians got the benefit of both sides of those.
Exactly. Yeah. Consistent on how we were judging the fights is kind of what I saw. And I was rooting for Con, to be honest. I really I've never met the guy, never talked to him. He lives on the other side of the world. I'm just a fan. I really like Con Offley. I think he's fun to watch. I've been kind of rooting for him, even though he's dropped the ball in a couple of his early UFC fights. So I was rooting for him, and I just couldn't give him that decision.
No, I 100%. I think he got dropped 5 times in the second round. I did not have
10-8, to be honest.
Yeah, 100. That would have been fine to be a 10-8 round. I did not have him winning that fight at all in any way. When I saw his hand get raised, I was honestly jaw drop shocked.
No, there were a few. I think who else? People had some issues with. What other decision? I'm trying to remember. See, I'm clearly still waking up. Oh, it might have just been the fight right before it, where I was like, I didn't mind that Dom won the fight. I think I just was like, how did you not give Kim the first round? I think is what I was more.
With Dom, I will say I was impressed. A lot of the Australians, actually, in general, but he was the one who started it with the night of the elbows off breaking off the clench.
Really nice.
I'm like, all of the Australians, I feel like we're doing that well. I don't know, like maybe a lot of them are coming from the same camp that I was watching, but I'm like, every time I was like, oh, that was a nice elbow off the clench. I was always an Australian guy that I noticed doing it. I'm like, but Dom started off just landing nasty elbows in the clench where I was like, that was definitely something I felt like he was able to capitalize on. And it's something that you don't see people being that, I guess, they're not that good at it in MMA all the time. People, it's one of the parts of the sport that is like one of the in-betweens, where it's not striking, it's not jiu-jitsu, it's not wrestling. You're wrestling and throwing elbows at the same time. And so you don't see people really emphasize those kind of parts of the sport.
No, I agree. And he had some really nice spinning elbows as well in some of those exchanges. I think he's one of the Road to UFC guys that's coming up that I do think is at the UFC level. It's always so hard at lightweight. It's such a deep division. I'm interested to see how he does moving into such a good division. I actually really liked the guy that lost the fight right before that as well, Sebastian Saleh. I thought he looked really good, and Nakamura didn't do much of anything until that third round, and you just saw him almost land the knee, almost land the knee, almost land the knee, and then it really was beautifully timed. I was so bummed for Saleh because I thought he was having just such a wonderful performance the first two rounds.
No, the first time I watched, I thought it was a kick. I'm like, it looked like he was like trying to bring his leg around, but when he brought that knee up, I'm like, it was vicious how he fell. I'm like, anytime you get a knee to the face, it's not a nice thing.
Okay, I feel like we really we're on the wrong side of the card right now.
Yeah, flip it around.
We need to talk about Alexander Volkanovski. I think we all were kind of in the same boat where we thought this fight would be very close, similar to their first fight. I think I was like a smidge leaning Diego, and you guys were a smidge leaning Volk, right? If I'm remembering right.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
And I think Volk made the right adjustments. I really liked seeing him like just pressing the wrestling, making Diego think about it a little bit more. I'm torn on Diego. In some areas I felt like he really did bring the chaos and thrive on the chaos. And then in some areas he was looking almost a little bit more measured than last time. And I don't want to say it didn't work because I felt like he looked pretty good too. It was just a really close fight.
Yeah, I just felt Diego was just fainting way too much for me. I needed to see more from him. Even like I want to say the commentators pointed it out at one point. Anytime there was a sequence initiated, it was typically on Volk's part. When he wanted to go, he just went. Right. It's like Diego wasn't doing enough to initiate, and when he did, he was successful. So I'm like, I just needed to see more of that from Diego. I needed to see him creating more action, him doing more. And like you said, creating a little bit more chaos. I feel like he was just kind of fainting on the outside a lot. But for Volk, I'm like, that overhand right and then that head outside single where the two hit him multiple times through the fight absolutely beautifully.
No, and I think the timing on the single it was any time it was there, he went for it. Even if he didn't expend too much energy trying to finish the shot. I'm going to snatch, I'm just going to lazy man snatch this leg right now just to get you thinking about it, making sure you don't. And that may have been what caused Diego to not come forward so aggressively because it's like, oh, I have to worry about that as well.
Well, even in the second round, Diego said that to his corner. He said something about I have to worry about the shot. My thought for Diego, though, is why? Let him take you down. You have a great guard. Even at the end of the fifth, I'm like, you had you went for a Kimura to armbar transition. I'm like, it was some really nice jiu-jitsu transitions at the end of the fifth round. I'm like, why are you so scared to be on your back when you have a lot of danger there against somebody like Volk? Volk, yeah. I don't think he's the most technical jiu-jitsu guy, but I think he's a good grappler. he's very aware of himself situation. Like you saw the way he defended the back. I think it was in the 4th or the 5th. He was able to I'm like, I don't think it was anything like super, super like that you'd be like, oh, I can teach that technique. But he stayed tight, knows how to stay defensive, and knows how to maneuver his body a lot. I think he's very self-aware in grappling situations, where I think that Diego is a little bit more technical in those situations, where I'm like, I think if Diego was more willing to let Volk take him down maybe and work a little bit, like he said, we were able to see it at the end of the 5th. That was the closest he got to finishing the fight in those moments.
Yes, but he was never that close. Like there was no submission that was like, oh my God, like there were submissions where it's like, oh, Volk's got to like scramble out of it. But there wasn't anything that was like super deep. And I do think, now I will say this, I don't think he would have subbed Volk off his back in any position. I do think he could have used that jiu-jitsu really well to get up. So I think think about when people take Charles Oliveira down, what do they usually do?
Well, I'm like,
when out of the card, and let him come, like they stay away from the danger. So if he can present enough danger, I think Volk would have let him up,
I'm like, anytime somebody's taken me down, I've either been able to sweep or submit off of it. So I'm like, I just think that was the best. Like, and Diego got pretty close to some submissions at the end of the 5th round. Imagine if we did this earlier in the fight. Imagine if we saw a fresh Diego Lopez attacking submissions too, where I'm like, I think that nothing else was like, you were getting some success, but not a lot of success in all the areas of the fight. Why not try this option? When I'm like, I don't understand why even at the end of the 1st round, so early in the fight, you're like, oh, I have to worry about Volk's takedown. I'm like, I'm never worried about someone's takedown, because I'm like, if you take me down, I'm very capable down there. I don't feel like it's something. I don't think it. I feel like it stopped Diego from going forward a lot, and I don't understand why so much.
I will say, I know he's lost decisions before. Okay, a decision before doing that, where he spent too much time on his back trying to submit Movsar. Obviously, super short notice fight, lots of asterisks around that. But I can understand, like, I've lost a fight before committing too much to being on my back. But like you said, maybe the end of the round, okay, I don't care. It's like we've got less than a minute left. Even if he takes me down, I'll scramble, Maybe at the end of every round, just like really strong flurries. Or even like, okay, it's the 3rd round. It might be 1-1. I might be down 2. It's super close. Now we attack that a little more aggressively. I think that's a fair adjustment.
No, 100%. I'm like, I just think it is like, and maybe it is because he was held on his back for like his only loss one of his only losses in the UFC is 2, I think, one against Volk too. Well, but yeah. So I'm like going into the fight with that maybe, but it's like you're also getting held down by Movsar, a very good wrestler, versus Alex, who like I just don't see him as a elite grappler in any way, where I'm like,
style is more writing though. Like Movsar, I feel like isn't necessarily known for his control. Like if I think about the Ige fight, he follows super well. It's like mat return, but not necessarily like not a Gillian Robertson stuck to you on top type of style,
Yeah,
so just different.
Yeah, but still, just having somebody who is a heavy grappler on top of you versus someone who, I guess, Volk, we all know, is best on his feet. Like that's where he's going to do his best work. So I'm like, I just feel like it would have, if anything, don't let it stop you from coming forward. I'm not saying like let him take you down, but like you shouldn't be scared to go to the ground with him, because you do have, like, you are very capable there, and that honestly probably one of your best ways to finish at that point, So I'm like, it's just, I don't understand why at the end of the 1st round he used that to, like, it was obviously in his head at some point of like, I can't walk forward as much because of this takedown.
No, that's fair. And like I going back to Charles as apparently my example today, like that's almost why he fights with some reckless abandon on the feet, I think, is because he's never scared to get taken down.
Even like you look at Mackenzie Dern, I'm like, she freaking throws punches. I'm I'm like, she doesn't care because you put her on her back. That's where she's best.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, throw up Jake's comment. Have you guys been breaking the ice on your swimming pools? I am so upset about how cold it is, just so everybody knows. I moved here specifically to be warm.
There's so many iguanas that are just like laying around my neighborhood that I'm like, oh no. Fallen iguanas.
Set them in the sun. Yeah, in case you guys did not know, if it gets too cold here, the iguanas, they don't die, but they like freeze, and they will literally just fall out of the trees, just stiff like this, and they just lay there until the sun warms them back up. So that's a thing that happens in Florida. Anyway, moving on. If you have any other point, I guess we should talk about obviously what's next for Volk. I mean, dude, 37. Has there ever been somebody at 145 that's winning belts at 37 years old?
No, it's super impressive for that age, you know, like just once you get lower in weight class, I'm like, that's when it's like, oh, age really matters. If you're 37 and you're a heavyweight champ, it's like, okay, whatever. But being a 45er, I'm like, that's absolutely insane.
No, I agree. It's anywhere between like 145 to 170. I don't think that's happened at any of those weight classes. Like they're just so deep, and a lot of guys are really young there as well, especially if you look at 170. But I mean, yeah, like he's still got it. I definitely want to see him fight a Murphy or a Movsar. He was hinting that was already booked. To be honest, I don't know if it is or not. It's been rumored, I think.
I feel like Movsar obviously deserves it more, but I would like to see Murphy more.
I get it. To be honest with you, I'm very curious in both, obviously very different styles. I want to see how Volk handles somebody. Movsar's got a heck of a chin. He can grapple with him, and his cardio is just unreal. Like Movsar can scramble, throw for 25 minutes, no problem. We know that. Murphy, on the other hand, presents danger, you know, like way more danger than Movsar. Maybe not the same level of pace, but definitely like he can catch you, you know, he's got that like crazy fast twitch muscle. So I think they're both interesting in other ways, but I can understand why a lot of people would want to see Murphy fight him more.
Poor Movsar.
Poor Movsar. It's just, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. We'll see Movsar fight for a title. Like you can only deny a man for so long, you know. But it sounds like they're doing Movsar and Murphy is what Volk made it sound like in his post-fight speech. So we will see if that gets announced. I'm not sure. But yeah, obviously that's who we're gonna see him fight next. I don't think there's really a question. Like Silva can't skip the line at this point, right? I mean, Arnold Allen is an impressive win, especially the way he handled him, but are we going to see him skip the line over guys like that, over two undefeated guys?
The only, I guess, argument in it is like this Paramount era. I really think that like who you are is going to matter just as much as how you fight. I feel like it is about like bringing eyes to it, and Jean Silva is an absolute madman.
No, he definitely brings the attention. Definitely. So yeah, who knows? You make a good point. I mean, and as we're moving down the card, like lightweight I feel like featherweight and lightweight are both kind of odd right now. Like they have clear contenders for sure in both divisions, but it's just like so much weirdness. Are we going to see Diego Lopez become the 14th person to move up to lightweight? Who knows? You know, he has a decently big cut to 45. To be honest, I don't know if that would suit him. Because I think his size and length at 45 is like one of his best assets. I think you lose that a little bit going up in weight. So I'm not sure if that would be a good move for him either way, but who knows? Hopefully we don't see anybody else moving to lightweight. There's plenty of guys at lightweight. We don't need any more.
There's too many.
Everybody's a lightweight. But dude, Benoit. Freaking Benoit.
Freaking Dan Hooker, man. Piss me off.
Surprised. I'm sorry. I know you picked Hooker. I knew this was what's going to happen. If Benoit did not get knocked out,
it was Hooker that created his own demise.
Yeah, he always does.
I was like,
He has no fight IQ.
I was like, dude, you were looking good on the feet. You were defending the takedowns. Like he was, every time he threatened the guillotine, he was getting Benoit to react and getting back to his feet. I was like, you had a perfect first round for you. Going into the second, you try to take him down. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, what is that kind of, like, why are we trying to take this guy down?
Listen, Hooker has some of the greatest attributes you can have as a fighter. His heart, his grit, like he is a fighter at heart. But that man has never had a damn ounce of fight IQ.
Literally, the second, I'm like, whenever I watched the fights this morning, the second I got to him getting the takedown, I was like, oh, this is where it ends. It's over. I just fast forwarded through the end and saw it. I was like, oh, yep, exactly what I thought. The rest of the round was him just getting dominated from bottom mount. And I'm like, dude, like, such a great first round. Such a good first round for him.
Well, and the crazy thing is Dan Hooker has great takedown defense and horrible get up. Like, it's like up here for, like, if I like don't get taken down, like if we don't actually hit the mat, like we're sliding. He even like got up once at the end of the first, but it's like once he doesn't create space. He doesn't, like, even like the most basic, what we teach white belts, it seems like he does not do once he's on his back. We don't even see like a shrimp to get to half guard and frame. Like we just don't see that from him.
Just why'd you try that outside trip, dude?
Gillian's so sad.
Broke my heart.
Dude, Benoit's one of those guys where like he's almost too stupid to lose unless you knock him out. Like, I don't know. I don't recall. He's not like, obviously he's a smart guy. Just the way he fights, like he's not taking high level shots. He's just like, I'm putting my head in the middle and I'm just going to grit you down. And it wasn't necessarily even working until, like you said, Hooker was like, I'm going to put myself in this position. But yeah, I guess Benoit will capitalize if there's even like a small mistake, you know?
I'm just not sold on Benoit yet. I don't know what I'm like you said, like, yeah, he's taking these reckless shots, but they're against Dan Hooker. He fought Hoofy last, who it's like they're not, I don't know. They're more known as strikers, you know, where I'm like you said, the shot that mattered the most was the one that Dan took and fucked himself. Like, so I'm like, I don't know. Benoit I think he's good, but I don't ever see him like really making a climb. I'm not sold on him yet.
Oh, I don't think he's getting through. Like Max, Charles. I think he might be Gaethje. But it's like, I don't think he's getting through the true top 5 of the division. I would agree with you there. He's not beating a guy like Arman.
Yeah, I think it's been good game planning in his last 2 fights. Yeah. Like it's obvious that like he knows these guys' holes and he's shooting for the takedowns like over and over and over and over again. So I'm like, it's been very good game planning for him, but I just don't see it like, well, I don't see him with the high level grapplers and I don't see him with the high level strikers. I see him kind of like mid-level in both.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm gonna pull this comment up. Notorious. Grant does not ever do the Sunday morning show. This is just me and Gillian. But he's usually here on Tuesdays. But thanks for being here anyway. You should still stick around. I can make him come in here and say hi if you want. But anyway, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just like, I think you have to put him away. Like, I think he just knows, like, I'm trying to think of a comparable fighter. Like, he just knows how to win fights. And if you can't finish him, he'll find a way to grit through it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't see anybody like outpointing Benoit. I think you really have to, like, you have to smash him like Moicano did, or you got to clip him like Dustin did.
No, I can 100% see that. I'm like, I just always see him like maybe like top 10, top 15, yeah. You know, never breaking that barrier right now.
So, well, I mean, Hooker was 5 somehow. So I'm pretty sure, wasn't he? Or 5 or 6? Am I crazy? Let's see.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing to me that Hooker's even ranked that high.
He's number 6. I think he was 5 before Patty got bumped down. maybe. Anyway, so Hooker's 6. So I guess what do you do with Benoit now? Has he at least earned a top 5 shot? Or do you give him like Gamrot, who I think is a pretty tough matchup for him?
Yeah, that's where I think he belongs, is like with someone like Gamrot, or even Fiziev and him would be an interesting fight, honestly. I'm like,
that would make sense.
I feel like the ones above him, I'm like, I just don't see him having like any ability to beat. I don't see him beating Max. I don't see him beating Charles. I don't see him beating Armand or Gaethje. You know, I just feel like those guys are just in a different league than him.
Patty? You want to see him beat a Patty?
I don't know. That one I don't know. I think Patty still wins it, but that one's a little bit closer.
Because Benoit's, I think his biggest issue is probably his like lack of speed on the feet. He certainly hits hard and has a willingness to throw. And it's like, Patty also kind of has that problem with like a lack of speed on the feet. So it's like, Patty might have the superior grappling skill, like technical ability, and he's super tough. I actually kind of want to see that.
I'm like, that's the only one that I'm like a toss up about that's above him.
Let's do that. That makes sense. I know.
You're like, let's do that. Like we're making UFC matchmaking right now.
Yeah, and well, I feel like you can do him in Fiziev because Fiziev is coming off a loss and he's way below him. I would assume now. I'm assuming Benoit's going to move up after beating Hooker like that. So it's like Patty and Benoit might be like right next to each other in the rankings. And it's like, if you fight somebody coming off a loss when you're coming up off a win, they should at least be one higher than you, right?
What would be next for Hoofy then?
For Roofy?
Yeah.
See, Roofy's the guy I'm not that sold on.
I'm not sold on either one of them, honestly. I think they're both really big hype trains at the moment. I'm like, I think that they have their moments and they have good things about them, but I don't see either one of them really being a top 5 guy.
And like Fiziev is a super tough fight, but he's still a good matchup for Roofy because he's not going to wrestle.
Yeah.
And so it's like we saw Roofy's massive hole. Honestly, I feel like Benoit kind of had the same fight in a row, right? Like he's like, I got 2 guys that can't wrestle. That's all I'm going to try to do. So I feel like we haven't seen Roofy kind of, redeem himself from his lack of grappling in the Benoit fight. So like, do you test that again? Or do you just match him up to make fun striking matches for the fans because we're in the Paramount era? Because I mean, do you put him with somebody like Gamrot?
I think that's an absolutely terrible matchup for Hoofy. You couldn't take a worse matchup getting Gamrot and like a heavy wrestler like that,
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Are you guys sold on Holloway's takedown defense? We've never seen him against a wrestler, and I think BSD could submit him. I do not think BSD can submit Max Holloway. But I will say I think Max's takedown defense is truly going to get tested against a guy like Charles and a guy who's as big as Charles is. And looking back, like we think of Max Holloway as having this great anti-wrestling, but at 145, there's not nearly as many high-level wrestlers as there are at lightweight. So this actually is a very interesting question. I was like, to me, Max has seemed untouchable right now. And I think I was almost discounting Charles a little bit because of that. But man, Charles has looked pretty damn good too. And he's huge. His grappling is world-class. He is so willing to trade with people just to get to his grappling exchanges. I think this fight's going to be super close. I think that's the test. I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is the test for Max Holloway's wrestling. I think it's Charles Oliveira, personally.
Got me going back and looking at Max's record. I'm like, has he not fought wrestlers?
Best wrestler. Like, he's fought, like, guys who have submission. Like, Brian Ortega has submissions, but who does he take down?
Frankie Edgar in 2019. That was the last wrestler.
But he didn't wrestle.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, out of his record, that's the last wrestler that he fought. Everybody else, like, he fought Volk, Cater, Yair, Arnold Allen.
Arnold can wrestle, but it's not his primary game.
That's like every single person that I just, and like going up, every person is what I would call a striker. Like, they can wrestle, but I'm like, their primary thing is striking in their fights. And I'm like, until 2019, Frankie Edgar was the last person we could call a wrestler that Max fought. So I'm like, that's at least been 6 years since we've even seen it been tested at all.
Well, and won some grappling exchanges with Max in their last fight, and he's definitely not I think Dustin's a very well-rounded fighter, but he's not known for his wrestling by any means either.
No, yeah, I think that I guess I've always looked at Max as like being able to get up well, but I've never really put it
right.
I've never looked at it like this. I've never been like, oh, he doesn't fight anybody who can actually wrestle.
Yeah. Not in a traditional sense. We can thank Grant for that, because I was saying that last night. I'm like, Max has great takedown defense. He's like, but against who? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't know. We don't know. So I think that's the real test. That's the real test. I agree with this. This is a good comment, Notorious. Let's make it happen. But no, I think that lightweight is just so weird right now. It's like, I feel like we keep having guys flip in and out of the rankings, except Michael Chandler, who can stay ranked forever, apparently. But everybody else is just kind of flipping in and out. You've got guys moving up that are a little higher than I expect them to be, like Benoit, to be honest, but he's still making it happen. He's likable to me. I don't know what it is. And I usually do not like French people. So for no reason other than them being French. But I don't know. I'm a Benoit fan.
No, like I said, I think that him and Hoofy both have their own like hype trains behind them. They're definitely like a star power in their own right. Like,
sorry, finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say, but I think that I don't know. I'm not sold if that's bigger than like who they can be as a fighter. You know, if their like talk and their look and their persona is bigger than, or like their moments that they have. So, because I feel like Hoofy has moments sometimes, but like I don't know. Like some fights, I feel like he freezes a little bit. Some fights he doesn't show up 100. You know, it's like there's still moments where I'm like, I don't know if he's like actually it, like, you know, like the it guy.
Well, and like, dude, Fazeev was winning. I did that. Roofy was starting to find his flow. It wasn't like a lucky shot. Like it was well set up throughout the second round, but Fazeev looked great early in the fight. And I like in my head, I was literally like, part of me was like, he needs to wrestle. He needs to wrestle. Like that's the path to victory. Don't risk it. But also like, why would you if you're winning pretty handily, you know? And this guy, like, Roofy was landing, but a lot of times he was, like, landing on the chest. He's not landing super clean in the first round. Obviously, like, maybe he's just the kind of guy where once he finds his range, he can put you away, you know?
I was so mad because I'm like, I had Fazeev and Hooker picked, and at the beginning of the fights, they both looked phenomenal. Yeah. And then a second round, I was like, oh, cool.
I looked at Grant. I was like, oh, we might be wrong. Oh, never mind.
Both times I was like, oh, the fight's actually going good. Oh, no, it's not.
I don't even know if he was hesitant. He was definitely willing to throw, but like, I just don't think he likes to wrestle. I think Fazeev is another guy that he just likes to fight. Like,
yeah, I can see that 100%. It's funny how we're seeing our strikers, though, that are implementing a little bit of wrestling, and like Justin Gaethje last week, like Volk this week, where I'm like, you never really see those two guys wrestle, but they're actually making it like mixed martial arts. They're evolving a little bit more, making it like adding in the other sports, then their opponent's always guessing. They're not just thinking about the striking anymore.
Well, I mean, you see Volk has been blending it beautifully for years, you know, and I think he got a little bit more back to that.
Yeah.
Right, which I think is the right game plan against a guy like Diego. Obviously, like he hurt his foot too. I don't think it would have changed anything. It was the 5th round, but it definitely swelled up quick when that happened.
They said Diego broke both of his feet.
How? Both of them? I saw the one like he like kicked like almost like his hip, and then it just went like over the next 30 seconds. I was like, oh, that's gonna hurt so bad tomorrow.
Yeah, broke both of his feet.
Yeah, that sucks. I wonder how long he's gonna be out with that. Feet, I feel like feet heal decently.
No idea.
Big Stink, listen, I love everybody's usernames today.
That's a good one.
In this username in our comment section. Hey, Larone, Movsar, like I'm with you. Like I wasn't I can't say I was super mad about this matchup. I thought there were guys that deserved it over Diego, but dude, he's such a fun fighter and he always comes to fight. Like, it's hard to be mad about getting that fight again, but I'm with you. Like, it's time. It's time. I don't want to see Volk fight any more trilogies. I want to see some fresh blood. This dude's 37 years old. Let's see if he can just like, he's already tied Jose Aldo for title defenses. Like, I want to see this man break records at 37. That would be dope. Or, or we get some fresh blood as champ. Like, either or, I think that's a win-win. Let's see. We need to get through. We won't talk too long on the heavyweights. Oh my gosh.
It's heavyweights.
It's heavyweight. Okay. There is potential in the heavyweight division right now. And somehow none of those guys are ranked except Walter Walker. Like, Josh Hokett is slamming through guys. I know he hasn't beat anybody like super high up yet, but like, give him somebody that can get him ranked. The heavyweight rankings are silly.
Have you seen Hokett's interviews? Just like he was on Ariel Helwani and like different things like that. Like, just absolutely, even like his post-fight, like when he was backstage after his fight last week and had like the news people asking him questions. He had some other guy asking his questions and he was like, answering his questions and he was standing behind him, like hyping him up. Just like, they've been the weirdest things, but it's like, it's entertaining.
Dude, I love it. I honestly, okay, I haven't seen him say it. I've heard a lot of people saying that like Dana didn't like him. He thinks he's cringy and dumb. And I'm like, dude, what do you want? Like, you want this, what we saw last night for the heavyweight division? That's what you want? Like, I'm sorry, that was terrible. Tai Tuivasa is the Michael Chandler of the heavyweight division. Like, it's like, yeah, he comes out and he does a shoey, but he's on a 6-fight losing streak and he's still number 12 in the heavyweight division. Like, it was bad.
Me as a person who's on the prelims on a fight night card is looking at this guy who has lost his last 6 fights on the main card of a numbered card. Like,
yeah. And I'm not like Teixeira. I'm just not about him. He was like, we were excited about him for a little bit where it was like, oh, every fight ends in 30 seconds. But like, as soon as he came into the rankings, like, it just ended for him, he beat Ty, but that was because Ty just stopped fighting.
Yeah.
Dawson looked great for the first round and then came out completely gassed. Tai Tuivasa was gassed before he even started throwing. And then he actually could have finished Dawson several times in that third round. And he just like didn't have any juice left. I think that's what happens when you have to cut weight to heavyweight and not with like a Francis Ngannou type build. Like,
any heavyweight fight that goes past the first round is never good.
That's fair. That's fair. But even then, the fight's not good. It's just like a random last-minute finish from Derek Lewis, But like, I want to see guys like Vitor Petrino and Josh Hokett in the rankings. Like, the only person I'm excited about that's ranked right now is Walter Walker.
Walter Walker, 2026 champ.
Very well, maybe. But first, he's got to go through a gimmicky jiu-jitsu matches where he grapples men with no legs. So we'll see how that goes. This is so bizarre to me, but it is funny. I'll admit. But yeah, I want to be excited about guys like that. This was so disappointing for me. I feel like, I know Ty is a huge star in Australia, but like, can you really justify keeping him just to throw him on a Sydney card every year? Like,
I was like, we talked about this off air. When I saw his name on the card, I was like, he's still signed? I thought he got cut years ago at this point. Like, I was shocked that he's still with the UFC when I saw him on the card. Like, I was honestly thinking they like re-signed him for this or something. I for some reason in my memory, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if I'm making it up, but
you too? I don't remember if it was real or if it was just like a tweet or something, but I think he was still in the UFC. And it's like, I get like, he's a star in Australia for whatever reason, but like, it's just, dude, you can't justify keeping these guys around. Like, I get it. People like Ty. They like the shoey. They like the the fact that he's not knocking guys out. He's not even beating guys anymore.
No,
like 6 fights in a row he has lost. And some of them have definitely been higher up in the rankings. Pavlovich. I can't even think of anybody else. He lost to Volkov, but he's also losing to guys way down the rankings too. And so it's like, can you keep a guy that's like, if he was only losing, like Max was only losing to Volk. Like he was on a losing streak for a while, but he was only losing to Volk. And so it's like, if you can justify keeping a guy like that in the rankings and giving him tough fights if he's beating everybody else. But it's like, Ty didn't beat the number 15 ranked guy. So what are we going to do with him now?
He hasn't won a fight since 2022.
And he's been fighting. Like, it's not like he's inactive and he only fights once a year. Like, he's on every Australia card.
It's like I said, I for some reason in my memory remember him getting cut. I was shocked to see that he was on this card. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get cut after this. Or I'm like, I don't know. Some people apparently, we were talking about it last night, they get that Cody Brundage treatment. They're got losing record. Oh yeah, that's what he has. He's 8-9 in the UFC now. So he has a losing record in the UFC. But I'm like, sometimes they still get fights. We don't know.
Yeah. I will say, like, because Brundage has gotten some pretty favorable matchups over the years. And I'm like, I just think, why? Like,
just anybody who has a losing record, I'm like, you see the people they cut sometimes. Sometimes they cut people that are like have winning records that have good records, and now you're leaving. Like, wasn't there a heavyweight that was cut recently that was like,
not Tybura, what's his name?
I believe he was 6-0 though, right? Yeah, and now we have somebody who's 0-6.
Godly boring. So it's like, I get it, but like, Ty isn't fun to watch. It like, that wasn't a fun fight to watch. It was messy and sloppy, and as soon as they both blew their wads, there was no chance of a finish. So it's like, it's not like we're getting firefights from Tai Tuivasa every fight anymore, So it's Ty versus Steven Asplund. Honestly, yeah, maybe just use him. If you're going to keep him, use him to build a new star. Like, that's your only option. But then you also risk, like, what if your new star isn't cut out and you need new blood at heavyweight? I actually really like Steven Asplund. I love his story. I love, like, he's a family man. He lost all the weight. He's just a likable guy. I'm a fan of him. But, like, you don't want him to take away a possible contender, because it's very clear at this point that Ty is not going to make a title run.
Yeah.
So you can't risk him taking away a contender that could develop into something either,
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that at a certain point, it's like, if a contender is going to develop into something, like, how old is Asplund at this point? I'm like, I could Google it, I guess, but I'm just gonna guess he's around 30.
He's not spring chicken, I don't think.
These contenders have to be tested at some point. He's 27, so he's younger than I thought, honestly.
Yeah, he's younger than I thought.
Yeah, but I'm like, a lot of these contenders, they have to be tested at some point, and it's like, at what point do you test them? Like, you can't just be like, no, it's too early. It's too early always. We have to.
That's fair.
So I'm like, and 27, he still could probably get a little bit more developmental years. I could understand if the UFC doesn't like throw him to the wolves instantly or tries to push him too hard right now. But I'm like, I feel like once you hit 30, you got to be ready for, like, you're either ready for the title shot or you're not.
No, I agree. I guess my thought process is test him against somebody who could also, where it's a win-win for the UFC. Like, for example, Rizvan is fighting Jalton Almeida. That's a win-win for the UFC, Either way, they get somebody who can push for a title shot after that. So, right? That's that matchup that's happening. That's next week, isn't it? Let's see. That is next week, yeah. That's insane. Heavyweight is so weird. Rizvan isn't even ranked right now, is he? Jalton Almeida's like number 6. Yeah. You have an unranked guy fighting the number 6 guy this weekend. Heavyweight is bizarre. Honestly, I'm for it, because you have guys like, unfortunately now, Derek Lewis, as well, and Ty that are in the rankings that probably need to start getting pushed down in the rankings. So it's like, I'm honestly for it. Just skip over some of those guys, make a matchup that makes sense skill-wise, and let's just move forward in this division.
Derek Lewis was Ty's last win.
Yeah. That was so long ago. So long ago. That was actually a super fun fight too. But man, I want heavyweight to be great again. I want Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez,
Bring steroids back.
and the best division. Like, I want to see that again. So let's get back. Let's get past it. I'm for it. I agree. Like, there's some inactive guys too. Blades doesn't fight all that much.
I don't even know the last time he did fight.
Civic fight that often? Then you've got Ante Delija in the rankings now. He's one that I wish I was more excited about. like, because he's good, but he's not young enough, I think, to like develop enough to have like a serious title run.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, let's pump all these new guys into the rankings and make heavyweight great again. Let's do it. Okay, going back. What did we even talked about? Like,
well, I was gonna say someone who I feel like did get tested last night with kind of like a vet and lived up to it pretty well was Salkeld.
Is Jamie Malarkey?
I think he's a vet. I'm like, he has like 19 UFC fights.
He's a vet, but I feel like Nasrat was a tougher fight than Jamie, right?
Nasrat is probably a more technical fight, but I think Jamie's still like, he's just a scrapper, you know? He's usually like in there to, he's hard to put away a lot of times. And obviously with jiu-jitsu, I feel like it's easier to put people away, but I'm like, I think that like, he's another one with a losing record in the UFC now, 6-7.
And like, if you look at his wins, there's not one that really sticks out. Oh, his debut though. Oh my God, that fight with Brad Riddell will go down in history as just like the biggest banger ever. That was so fun to watch.
So I'm like, I feel like he's a tough fight still. And I'm like, Salkeld, I don't want to say he got lucky, but he got lucky a little bit with Nasrat. He didn't, but he did.
Fair. Or has that ability. But
like, that's what I'm like. It was a very well-timed kick. He did get it. Like, but Nasrat was the better striker, you know?
He was winning, I thought. Nasrat.
Yeah. Nasrat was winning, and he looked like the more complete person. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to say he got lucky because, like, it was a fucking beautiful head kick.
Right.
But I'm like, there was, like, he wasn't the better striker in there. You know?
Didn't see the setup coming the way you saw it with like Rufy, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Mora last night. That's fair. It really was just like, he's losing. Oh, Nasrat's unconscious.
Yeah. So I'm like, with that fight, I feel like we didn't really get to see like the best of him. Where I'm like, against Malarkey, one again with this fight IQ, Malarkey was one engaging in a lot of these grappling situations. Like, it was obvious that Salkeld was trying to grapple too, but like Malarkey took him down once, and then what led to the finish was he was trying to hold him up against the cage, and Salkeld got a beautiful, it was like, I don't know, it was like an outside trip, but like I don't know. Yeah, like a dump. It was crazy. Whatever takedown he got against the wall there with his back against the cage, which is wild too. And then that just you saw that Salkeld was just years ahead of Malarkey on the ground. Like, he just knew what he was doing, and Malarkey kind of just gave it to him. Like, he fell right into it.
I want to give Malarkey some the benefit of the doubt here, because I feel like we've seen him grapple more and more lately, and I think he needs to. Because he's 31, but he's like 45 in MMA years.
Yeah.
He has had some wars. He's had some bad knockouts. He's been knocked out by guys like Nasrat that don't have a lot of knockouts. So it's like, and then he just had that, like, he and Bedoya went to war, and his wrestling was beneficial for him in that fight, where it's like, I think it might be a wrestle by necessity for him rather than a wrestle because I don't have fight IQ, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. I'm like, it's just after the first, he hit a head outside single that was actually really nice. And then after Salkild's like first reactions, just how quick he was to get back up, and just I feel like it was obvious who the better grappler was in the first exchange, So I'm like, at that point, I would just kind of go to other options first before going straight back to the grappling.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. That fill that hole a little bit in the in-between space, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad. Okay. Let's see.
We had Tafa and Elkanah with a pretty it
was an interesting one.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Elkanah felt like a folding chair in that first 30 seconds. And then I was like, oh, well, it's over. And then just the weirdest scramble ensued after that. But dude, I like Billy Elkanah. He's become a favorite of mine. I think he's tough. I love that he can grapple in a weight class where almost nobody can grapple. It's a cheat code, just like it is at heavyweight at 205. Until you get up higher in the rankings, you don't have a lot of super well-rounded guys at light heavyweight.
Oh yeah. I'm like, that one too is the second they hit the ground, I'm like, I was like, oh, this is over. This is over. It's ending. I mean, you could just see it just looked too easy for him on the ground, where I'm like, Tafa just didn't look, I guess, as capable in those positions, which a lot of light heavyweights, you said aren't. But I was definitely impressed by Tafa's hands. I feel like he looked cleaner and better than usual.
Yeah. And he looked in shape. I want to see him in shape at 205. He almost looked like he could have made middleweight.
Yeah, no, I feel like it was one of his better performance. Obviously, once it hit the ground, it didn't go so well. But on the feet, it was one of his better performances that we did see. And I feel like he was the one who was entertaining me the majority of that fight.
It's true, yeah. No, and he did look good. It was actually a pretty solid fight. I'm not 205 is my second most hated weight class, I think, after heavyweight right now. So in the men's division. So I'd say I was somewhat, I enjoyed the fight. It was a fun fight to watch. It wasn't my highlight of the night, but I'll give it a B+.
Yeah, no, I think that was an all right one for me too. I'm like, it was the next two fights that we have. I'm like, I feel like they were just very one-sided, both of them. And it was obvious from the first minute that I'm like, I don't know what it is. We were talking earlier, I'm like, Cody Brundage doesn't have a great record in the UFC, has been in for a while, but I'm like, something about him, I'm always rooting for him.
Dude, it's not even his UFC record, because sometimes guys will have bad UFC records just because they have so many fights and they've been around so long and they've fought past their prime. His overall record is something is unheard of in the UFC.
11-8-1.
And 1 is that's an overall MMA record in the middleweight division of the UFC. That is pretty wild. And I'm very curious if he stays on the roster, what's happening here? And I like the guy. He's always down to fight. He's always down to throw, but he's just not making the right adjustments. And he gets more and more away from his wrestling every fight, which is what has resulted in most of his wins.
I just love he comes forward with reckless abandonment and then throws 5-6 punches as hard as he can, running across the cage, and then walks himself right back to the cage again. Just backs up slowly, then does it again. It was he kept on just putting himself up against the cage, running off and putting himself up against the cage. But every time he ran off, I was hoping one of those punches landed. I was like, come on, he's got to
close.
Yeah, no, he had some chances there too. I'm like, there were some points where I was like, he's gonna do this.
And I want to Rouston is a good fighter, but he's had 1-2 UFC fights at this point. And so it's if we're looking at the disparity between the experience, it's hard to say that this is a good loss for Cody Brundage at this point. Now Rouston might go on a tear. He's huge. He's got power. I think he's fun to watch. He's young. I think he's pretty young, right? I was going to say.
He is 31.
Never mind. He's not that young. So I don't know if this, how
Same
this.
me. So I'm like, we're come down there.
You're like in your prime.
I know, I'm kidding.
You didn't just make your UFC debut.
I just saw it said 95, and we're saying he's not that young. I was like, wait.
hang on. But it's like I feel like he's already in his prime, so it's like we'll see how this loss ages at 85. I'm not sure. But yeah, I didn't
know on the Contender Series he lost to Torres Finney.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Wrestled, and then Cody Brundage didn't wrestle at all.
Like, well, what are we doing here then, man? That's why I'm like, Cody Brundage, it just looks like he's there to fight with no IQ, but he's there to fight. He's always going to be there and trying his hardest, but I'm like, there's just not much thinking going on behind what he's doing out there.
But I don't even feel like he's using his best assets. Like, I wonder if maybe there's like, it's like, is the wrestling too hard on his body at this point? Like, what is it? Because like all of his best performances he wrestled in.
Like,
so, yeah.
Being 5-7 and 5-7, 1-1 in the UFC. I'm like, does he keep his job?
Yeah, I don't know. And if he does, why? Like, if Cody Brundage and Tai Tuivasa are still on the roster come, next week, I have questions. I'm very curious. Like, I never want anybody to lose their job, but it's just, we got Renat Fakhretdinov got cut. Pretty sure undefeated in the UFC, or like on a win streak, So it's they've released guys like Brian Battle. I have questions, Jacob Malkoun, though. We got to talk about Jacob Malkoun. Dude, I like Torres Finney a lot. We've had him on the show. I really wanted him to be able to, kind of come back to the haters and show that he can fight. I don't know if there was some injury. It was that exchange with him and his coach after the first round was a little odd. Like it almost seemed, because then he seemed fine after that. He like limped to the corner in his first round, and he was like kind of complaining to his coach, and his coach was like, just shut it down immediately. And so I wonder if maybe he knows something about Finney. Like maybe he could tell like he was okay, because then his knee looked fine later in the fight, and then he had to get carried out of the cage. So I'm like, what happened? How is Finney's knee? Have we had any update on Finney's knee? Was that the problem here? Are they going to keep him? Because I don't think the UFC is too happy with Finney overall. He had to fight 3 times on the Contender Series just to get signed.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He's another one where I was like, why'd they even give him so many chances on the Contender? Why are you going to keep on letting this guy back in? I understand he was undefeated at the time, but I'm like, he keeps on showing you the same thing over and over. And here it's like, obviously he wasn't able to get to his wrestling, and we see what his striking, what level it really is at. I'm like, maybe it is the injury, but I'm like, it just didn't look good, like anything last night. And I'm like, Malkoun keeps on trying to choke this dude out. I'm like, he doesn't have a neck. You're choking traps there. Like, what are you doing?
That's what all we were saying. We're like, bro, there's no neck. Honestly, like, I liked that he just kind of rode for a while too. It's like, I don't think you can throw hooks in really on a guy like Finney. He's so wide. And Malkoun's not particularly tall and lanky either. But I got to say, Malkoun's boxing looked phenomenal. I'm a fan of him. I love his pace. I love his willingness to throw. Like, he kind of reminds me a little bit of, not nearly at that level, but a little bit of Fluffy Hernandez, just with the pace and the style, the boxing with the grappling. Like, I liked it. I liked that he just used everything and he didn't mind wrestling with Finney. I was impressed.
I guess I would, yes, and I'm like, I just would have liked to see a little bit more. You got literally a wounded animal in front of you. If that, like, it was obviously affecting him towards whatever the injury was, it was affecting him mentally and somewhat. Like, there was one point he got punched a couple times, then reached down and grabbed his leg and then got punched again. So I'm like, it was affecting him to the point where he's grabbing his leg in the middle of the fight. I'm like, you have somebody like that in front of you. I'm like, put him away. I'm like, do a little bit more. I understand I feel like there could have been a little bit more done.
That's fair. In his defense, a wounded animal can be the most dangerous. And you definitely saw Finney, like, he was still defending shots. He was still winging some overhands as well. So I think there was still a little element of danger. Or maybe it's just not possible to knock guys like that out because their head doesn't snap back because it's connected to their shoulders. I don't know. But I was impressed with Malkoun. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Put away the undefeated guy. Kept a really great pace up. I'm a fan of him. I'm interested to see what they do with him next. not in a position where I'd like push him for a ranked opponent or anything like that. But I still like the guy. I'm also a really big fan of McAuliffe as well. He's fun. He's fun to watch. I think Elliott's a dangerous opponent. I definitely think like we saw a lot of people exploit holes in other people's games this weekend, but McAuliffe, like, he survived some adversity. He took some hard shots.
And credit to them for finishing it, but every single rear naked choke I saw, I'm like, the other person was just let it happen this weekend. I'm like, literally, that's what I'm like. Elliot literally just like didn't like got his back taken, then was like, here, put your arm right here, just take my neck. It was like effortless. McAuliffe didn't have to fight for it at all. Even when he finished, I'm like, this is just me being picky, because obviously he was still able to put him to sleep, but I'm like, his head position was so bad. I'm like, it's like his head was like on top of his at a side angle. I'm like, he was still able to get the finish, but if you have somebody who's a able grappling practitioner on the bottom fighting with that poor head position, they're going to be able to maneuver themselves. They're going to be able to create an angle. It just looked like Elliot, once he got in that choke, was like, well, I'm here.
Well, and like, I think the biggest mistake I saw all night was the way people are turning their head. You look at the choking arm. If you want to stop getting choked, you look at the choking arm. You do not look away from it. Like, you're just going to get their forearm deeper underneath your neck. You're not going to create the space that you want if you're turning away from that choking shoulder. And I think we saw that 2 or 3 times.
People weren't even trying to fight hands. Like, he literally just let him. Whenever McAuliffe took his back, he didn't try to like fight hands at all. He just had it. He let him
top hand on the first, like when he was here. But then as soon as he got behind the shoulder, it was like he was not pushing up on the elbow. He wasn't turning the right direction. Like, and fight the hooks, guys. Fight the hooks. Even if somebody is defending a choke, it's something. If you can't do anything else, you can't reach the hand, like, at least fight the top hook.
I was like,
I know Gillian doesn't agree with me here, but it's worked for me. It works like,
and it may have worked in those situations because, like I said, with McAuliffe, it would have worked in a situation like that because he has such poor head position. I'm like, with me, I'm like, I'm never going to have that poor of a head position. So you can get both my hooks off and I'm still going to choke you. Yeah. But I'm like, if you have poor mechanics in your choke, then yeah, your hooks do matter. You know, where McAuliffe, I'm like, if he lost his hooks, he was not keeping that choke. He was already in such bad position mechanically with that rear naked choke. I'm like, I was surprised that he was able to put him to sleep because I'm like, they were in such a weird like angle. I was like, he might be okay there. He might, because sometimes you get a weird angle and you're still able to breathe a little bit. But I'm like, they were just in such a weird angle where I'm like, if you have a good grappler on bottom, they're gonna be able to, like you said, like fight the hooks, do something, create an angle so they can just. He already gave him that little bit of space. He would have just made it bigger and bigger and bigger. Where I'm like, if you don't give him that little bit of space, then. I'm like, you can fight my hooks off all you want.
Maybe not Gillian, but it worked with Diego. It worked with, like, Volk was like, I'm giving my back. I'm immediately attacking that hook. Like, I don't care if you're trying to choke me. Also, Volk doesn't have much of a neck, but like, he's like, I'm immediately attacking that hook. I'm immediately getting to my feet and building so that I can create this space. I can tuck my chin and I can get you off where I can then attack and deal with the choke. Like, I think that's the way you deal with that position, especially if you're built like Volk. But he did very well with it. I like that. I like that defense a lot. Maybe not if I'm grappling Gillian, but otherwise I like that defense. But I actually think we got through the whole card.
I'm like, did we? Oh my gosh, we did. Can we talk about one more thing that's just hilarious that happened on the card? Well, before the card, but on weigh-ins, we had our weigh-in fiasco. We weighed in at 122, and then they were like, that sounds weird. 122. Let's get him back on the scale. And first, I'm like, I was trying to figure out how he did it. I think he got his elbows on the bar of the curtain the first time is how he was able to get the weight off the scale. And even if you look at the video, the second time when they made him step on the scale when he was 129, he has both of his heels hanging off the back of the scale. So he's even trying to cheat the second time. It's just hilarious. I don't know, like, why you would try it in the first place, because I'm like, the UFC weighs you 2 times before you get on the official scale. You usually get like weighed at the hotel, then weighed once you show up to the wherever you're getting the weigh-ins. So I'm like, you get weighed on a digital scale before you get on the official scale. Like, somebody had to have known. Like, you couldn't just like get away with it like that. And regardless, I think he just overshot it too. Like, I think he didn't realize how easy it is to take weight off of a scale by just like putting one finger on something. And he took off 7 pounds like that.
Yeah, no, I like that. You have to make an example of that guy if you're the UFC. Like, he's got to be done, which is such a shame because I feel like he was a solid prospect. And clearly they want to keep their, Oceanic region prospects because Tai Tuivasa and Jamie Malarkey will have jobs for the rest of their lives. So, like, they need more guys like that. It is a shame. It is a shame that that's happened. But I just, you think they give him another chance? Like, I think he would have been more likely to get another shot if he just missed weight.
Yeah, honestly, probably. And the only thing that part of me low-key thinks that Dana might respect is that he tried to make the fight happen regardless. Like, because, like, he knows that, okay, I'm not going to make weight. Let me just try to make this fight happen. So I'm like, part of me thinks that I'm like, the fact that he was still trying to make the fight happen might lean in his favor in some way.
Right.
But that's my only thought. Other than that, I'm like, there's no way that they keep him. And even like, I'm looking at his record now. He lost once on the Contender Series already. Then he, like, after that, he just fought on the regional scene 3 times. So he lost in the Contender, fought on the regional scene 3 times. This was supposed to be his UFC debut. So he still hasn't, like, I guess, like, deserved this shot at this moment.
Yeah.
And he's 32 years old.
He's
so
32?
Yeah, so it's not like he's super young either. So, yeah, I doubt they – like, it's just the fact that he's Australian that might save him.
Well, and his opponents on XFC, which is the regional show he fought on, is a very padded record, like real bad. And then road to UFC, you'll get guys with good records, but I don't think they're padding them on purpose. I just think because there's a reason why they're doing road to UFC, and it's because MMA is new in those regions, or it's just not as established in those regions. And so the depth of the road to UFC tournament is nowhere near the depth of the Contender Series and nowhere near the depth of the UFC. So it's like you've got pretty bad opponents on your regional record. Then you come to Contender Series and drop the ball. And then you go into the tournament where people might have decent records, but then the quality of their opponents is quite low too. I just don't know that you're going to, that there's enough positives to give this guy another chance.
And quite frankly, I think we've seen a lot of that on the Contender Series this last season too, of like guys fighting guys with kind of padded records, and then it shows when they fight. And like, it's a very one-sided fight. We see that first round knockout that's insane, but I'm like, a lot of these guys getting signed into the Contender this last year, I'm like, I don't know how long their UFC careers are going to be.
Yeah, I definitely think that does happen. It's hard, and then it's hard to gauge the guy that wins because the other guy wasn't Contender Series caliber, which is why if you just made Contender Series its own show, you would never run into that again. You could develop guys on the Contender Series. So great. Anyway, I don't think I've ranted about that in several weeks, actually. So
yeah, no, we got to get back to that.
It's about time we bring it up. Do it, UFC. Do it, Paramount. I want every Tuesday night. What's up, nerd? Thanks for Nerdy Night Owl. Thanks for joining us right here at the end. We appreciate you. I think we talked about pretty much everything. We got Bautista and oh my gosh, brain fart. I was just looking at it too.
Oliveira, Vinicius.
Thank you. Vinicius Oliveira this weekend or next weekend. This weekend, yeah.
I like Oliveira a lot. He's aggressive.
I do too. And dude, I think ATT's got like 6 people on this card. Both Basharat brothers, which are always super fun to watch fight. Love watching them. Kyoji is back.
I was gonna say I'm here for Kyoji's title run. I'm ready for it.
Dude, Amir, this is tough, good fight. Amir Albazi, like that's like, are they trying to give Kyoji a title shot right after Amir Albazi, you think?
No, I think, like I said, I really think that that's like the path for him right now. And if they're trying to get more people from the eastern side of the world, I'm like, there's your Japanese star right there. I'm like, he's
super.
I was watching him fight Demetrius Johnson when I think he was 23 years old, challenging for the title, and I'm like, DJ is like years of like beyond what like he's doing techniques that like like blending techniques together like how we do now. I'm like, DJ looks phenomenal, and Kyoji, obviously a rough fight for him there, but I'm like, he's still 23 years old, is like handling these situations, like, and it was just, I just feel like he really is like that next level athlete. He is just, I really think he can have the title within the next year, and he's perfect for the UFC to bring that audience over.
He has it all. Like, he's explosive, athletic, crazy cardio, power, really good grappling, good take. Like, I can't really think of like a hole in Kyoji Horiguchi's game. Like, if there's a hole from like his old fights, it was his size. Like, when he was trying to compete at 135, that was like the only like thing you could like pick up that was like a consistent issue, was he was just smaller than the 35ers. So him at flyweight is just, yeah, I can't see him being denied a title shot. And with Pantoja being out for a while, which dude was like benching. He had a video out of him benching like a couple weeks ago. He's such a freak. Pantoja is a freak workhorse. Like, I can't believe he's already like back to lifting.
I saw a meme and it was saying like, it had a bunch of them, but I only remember the first three. Is like, why are all good fighters named Alex? And it showed like Pereira, Volkanovski, Pantoja. I'm like, they aren't they?
Are. Oh my gosh. No, it's crazy. They're, dude. But yeah, no, it's gonna be, this is a solid like little fight night. I feel like a lot of people are gonna hate on this card because of there's not enough name value, but like there's good fights here. I love Dustin Jacoby.
No, but I think this is what a fight night should be, is like, these are all fights I'm excited for. I'm like, where last year I feel like we were facing a lot of fight nights that it was just like, oh, I don't even want to watch this. This is going to be painful, this card. Where I'm like, I don't care if these guys aren't names. They're fun fights.
Dude, this just a prelim fight. Like, this is just dang good matchmaking. Said Nurmagomedov and Javid Basharat. Like, two slick, fun strikers. Like, that's just good. That's just damn good matchmaking right there. And that's like the fourth fight of the night.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good fights on this card, and there are going to be a lot of exciting fights. But like you said, they don't got the names on it.
Yeah, which I'm cool with. We're gonna watch regardless, guys. Yeah. So Tuesday we'll break it down a little bit more. We've almost been going for an hour 15. And yeah, thanks, guys. Join us Tuesday, 1 to 3 p.m. Whoever was in the comments earlier that was asking where Grant was, he'll be back on Tuesday, probably. I'll make him come on. So we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Tuesday at 1 p.m. And yeah, you got anything for the people, G?
Not at all. I am tired.
All right, we'll let you go take a nap. Bye, guys.